Welcome back here with Newsday. Police in Melbourne are increasing their presence in local Jewish communities. The forces responded to a request to put more boots on the ground around schools, synagogues and important cultural institutions. The Premier, Jacinta Allen, says her aim is to provide support where it's needed.
Victoria Police have increased their presence at those locations, and we continue to work very closely with the Jewish community to continue to provide support, not just from a security perspective, but support overall.
And joining us live now from Melbourne is Dr. Bren Carlill, Zionist Federation of Australia. Appreciate your time. Thank you. Firstly, just give us a bit of an insight into how your community is coping here at home, how you're doing. It's been a very trying week.
It has. The community is united in trauma, in grief, in anger. We all know people who live in Israel. Most of the community have family members in Israel. People are scrambling to make sure that their loved ones are safe, first of all. They are more and more people have been called up to the army as part of the reserves. So now all of us know people who will be actively engaged in the next round of this war. It's a very trying time, and of course you have the situation back home where the security threat here is increasingly palpable, and people are worried, as your news was just had in your last segment.
And what message would you have to pro-Palestine supporters who might be considering turning out to some of the rallies that are planned to go ahead? I know there's one planned in Sydney on Sunday. We saw those shocking scenes at the Opera House a few days ago. From your perspective, what message would you like to get across?
Well, look, I think there's an interesting dichotomy here. When there is a Jewish rally, a pro-Israel rally, people light candles, they sing, they call for peace, and there is a substantial security presence. And that security presence is designed to protect the people inside the rally from activists outside. When there is a pro-Palestinian rally, as we have seen last week in Sydney, as we will no doubt see again on Sunday, there is also a large security presence. But that large security presence is designed to protect the passers-by from the people at the protest. There is a substantial mirror image difference between the two movements and what the two movements, or at least what some spokespeople from the two movements call for. The fact that there is calls for death for Jews at these rallies, the fact that there are terrorist organizations, their flags are waved at these rallies, the fact that Jews are warned by police to leave the area, I think is very symbolic and very dangerous for our society. And so I would urge anyone of good conscience to stay away from these rallies by all means. People, if they want to attend rallies to support the Palestinian movement, they should do so, but they should know that these rallies that are being planned have violent people with violent tendencies going to those rallies, and they should stay away because by going, they are associating themselves with the depravity of the Hamas attacks against Israeli civilians over the weekend.
Bren, I know you spent years studying this region. I understand you did your PhD on the history of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and just why peace has been unreachable over so many years. You're obviously following events on the ground very closely. What is your expectation as to how this conflict now plays out over the next 48 hours, over the coming weeks?
Over the coming weeks, it's going to be horrible. There is going to be obviously I haven't seen any plans, but one would assume there's going to be a large-scale Israeli operation inside Gaza. This will be the first time that Israeli troops have gone into Gaza, unless, of course, they were Hamas captives since 2005. The troops will be heading in there to rescue Israeli captives, and they will be heading in there to destroy as much as possible Hamas military capabilities. Sad reality is Hamas embeds its military capabilities in civilian areas. Now, the laws of armed conflict are very clear, of course. If a civilian object is used for military purposes, it loses its immunity from attack, which is what Hamas has done, which is why what sometimes looks like apartment buildings are being attacked by Israel. They were once apartment buildings, but now they are valid military objects because Hamas uses them to store weapons or to fire rockets from there, and so on and so forth. So it's going to be horrible. It's going to be horrible for Israel. It is going to be horrible for the Palestinians. No one wants war, but unfortunately, this is where we're at because of not just because of really the Hamas attacks over the weekend, which are symbolic of the Hamas movement. They are symbolic of what Hamas has been promising for decades, and unfortunately, here we are.
Yeah, and it is a very grim place that things are ending up indeed. Dr. Bren Carlill, really appreciate your insights and views. Thank you.